Baragond, you are still underneath in the tunnels. There are slaves filing past you as quick as they can, while your elven guard, your honor guard of 100 elves, now significantly less than that, try and hold off the carpet of goblins that are crawling up every wall, every surface, and you among them. You're holding one end of a bridge while slaves are trying to escape, rushing past you, rushing past the elves. When they get past the last elf, they believe that they are safe and they run as fast as they can to the widening entrance that the dwarves are making, although you are far from that. You can hear all around the sounds of this terrible place, the constant clanging of work, of industry, of chisels and picks and hammers on stone and metal, and the constant jangling of chains everywhere. And as you look down this mine shaft that goes so far down you cannot see the end, you can see that everywhere there are slaves, and many of them are trying to flee, many of them are being cut down. And as you kind of made your way deeper, trying to rescue some of these other slaves, you have seen harrowing things. You have seen many slaves who, when they're offered freedom, will grab their chains and hug against the wall, refusing to leave. They've been so broken by their time here, while others will take up arms and follow. There's more slaves here than you could have imagined. There are thousands of them in this mining complex. It goes so far down. And it's just screams and whips and chains and tools and fires and orcs everywhere that you look, even cave trolls. And there's so many at this stage that you have lost quite a few of your elves. And Uthumiel, the captain, he comes up next to you as he, Paragond, we have to leave. We cannot hold them.
I will not leave until the last slave leaves, the last living slave leaves. This was our charge, and this is what I will. This is what I need to. I will not leave until the last living slave is out.
You'll doom us all.
You're not mine to command. You are responsible for your own elves. Do what you will. But we have slayed Grabble Snagamaster. We can use the confusion to our advantage and attack and drive them before us. They don't know how many that we are. They don't know, and they're unused to seeing elves and dwarves in these mines. These are not the crack of Gundabad. These are just slavers used to driving defenseless victims. We take the fight to them and we drive them before us, and then we fight a retreat.
He looks around, he
fires
another arrow, and he curses and follows with the elves deeper into the mines. Faroth and Bord and Cineric, you are in a tent behind the siege line that's been moved up now. You can hear the constant of the siege weapons firing from your side, the constant shouting of the dwarves as they make the siege weapons do what they have to do. You're sitting and you're exhausted, and there's an elven woman stitching up a large cut on your headboard, while another elf is working carefully to pull an arrow out of you, Faroth. And you're sitting there, Cineric, probably badly bruised, missing the helmet, in this sort of triage tent. There are wounded all around, many of them much worse off than you. And yeah, you can hear this constant creaking of rope and of wood, and the thuds, the siege weapons firing upon the dragon gate. There's a particularly acrid stench of the dead orcs near the bridge, and the various bodies there that you haven't been able to pull back because there's too much fire. But for now, there's a brief moment of respite.
Farrell grimaces as finally, after much work, this rather corrupted-looking elven arrow is pulled from him. It is a hybrid of the graceful Aryan look to the arrows, but it has tipped with black feathers and it is made of black steel. It looks like a venomous thing pulled from him. And Farrell takes a look at it and he gives a nod to the matron helping him and sewing up the wound. And he looks, his eyes tired but determined, over to his companions, still dwelling on if Beregond is alive or dead. He looks at them and says, the artillery, we need something more accurate. We need to punch a hole through that dragon's mouth as soon as possible. We can't let them regroup within there.
Board is hurt by the needle that's sewing him shut, and he says, which of us three looks worse? To the elven, I guess, seamstress person sewing his forehead up. But he does nod to Feroth. His mind, however, is constantly engaged, constantly focused on Cynric and wondering how things bode under the ground. So he's like probably tapping nervously.
We claim the fields, but I've heard no word from Beregond. Did tell the man. Tell us if he needed help. Whether he listens or not is up to him. I agree. We have two paths to take. We somehow destroy the Dragon Gate and spill into that corrupt place. Or perhaps we check on the team that was sent to cut off the water. See if we can starve them out.
Farrell is going to look to, and I'm hoping there's some maybe elven warrior or messenger definitely of men, and he's going to look to them and say, is there any word from the river?
Not yet, Lord.
Farrell looks troubled.
Though,
be swift. Take the fastest horse and take 10 with you. Make sure you protect yourselves and give the mountain a wide berth.
As you say, and he goes to leave.
If we haven't heard back, if they haven't returned soon, we will have to go ourselves. Right now we focus on what we have here. We have this gate, and we must bring it into ruin. How do we do this? What do we have at our disposal? What can we use?
A pause, and Cynric looks out perhaps of a tent flap to rushing people, wounded, and maybe there's a siege machine flinging its payload in the distance. We do have those barrels.
Put the fire back in the dragon's mouth.
Where the dragon's mouth burns, that place could be vulnerable.
Speak wisdom. Its eyes blaze with fire, but it's a hole in its face. Or maybe we just stack all of it in the gate.
There's a crash and a clatter. The siege machine that you're looking at through the tent, a spear, a ballista spear, has gone directly through it and through two of the dwarves who are pinned now to the ground, and they twitch once and never move again. It's maybe 30 feet from where you are. You can see this terrifying connection, and there's a roar from the dwarves around who like rush to try and save those dwarves, but they are doomed. And then they look to the machine that's taken them quite a while to get operational, and you can hear them cursing in their language.
We need to attack their siege equipment. And I would kind of look up the mountain and see if there's maybe a way that someone could sneak past maybe the embattlements, or I don't know, find a way to just take them out from the inside.
Sure. You can give me a perception check.
See if there's a pathway up to one of the, I don't know, I assume it's like a ballista, right? You mentioned like a spear. Oh God, that's a 1. So I'm gonna just, the haze is awful. I'll leave the critical miss to you, but board just doesn't seem to be finding anything.
Yeah, you're looking, and the way it's set up is that there's this long bridge that spans a chasm, and on either side of it there are like outcroppings of rock, and on top of those they put siege machines. So they have ballistas, they have trebuchets and catapults. Many of them operated by trolls and things. Like some of them have machines on their backs, or like pulling the sinews tight. It looks like pretty sheer to try and get up there. You'd have to climb probably.
Well, and I think on that note, not finding anything, he would say, if it weren't for that chasm, we'd be able to find a way up. It would just take me and 3 men. But he looks around and can't find anything. He looks to Cineric and Faroth.
Perhaps it would be a good call, but we cannot spread ourselves too thin. We're already outnumbered as it is. But that siege equipment needs to be broken.
Looking out, if we've all moved kind of to the flap of the tent, the way that it is set up, I think you described it. There is the chasm and the bridge over it, and the huge dragon gate in front of it, and it has like, does its nostrils and its eyes burn?
Yes. So the eyes, you think like at this distance, the eyes are probably 20 feet, high. And like the fire there is like, that's open.
Yeah.
And there are people in there calibrating siege distances and stuff like that. That kind of thing. It's obviously a command center of some kind.
And then there are like bastions built into the mountain walls to fire down on us.
Yes. Yep.
So they're like coming out a little bit of the mountain face, being constructed.
Exactly.
Obviously, yeah.
Yeah, like they've carved a section away and put like an emplacement on it.
So there are, I don't know, like half a dozen of those bastions or something across the mountain face.
Yeah.
Faroth suddenly sort of sweeps out of the tent, looks at the dragon mouth. You can see upon his face a dawning realization. He's had an idea. He looks to it and he says, would it be possible to focus all of our siege engine fire upon the mouth of the gate? If we do that, if we make a show of directing all of our forces towards the mouth of the gate, that would turn the enemy's eye away from the dragon's eyes itself, the command post up there. If we can make all of them think that we are going to enter through the mouth, we can send a small force in to attack from above. Some of us can scale the mountain. We've done it before. Push through one of those dragon's eyes. We can douse the flames and attack there. We can cut off the serpent's head.
Cynric looks to Faroth with his sudden burst of energy, of determination. Looking from the direction we're at, there's no way for us to get round. We'd have to move around, right? Like more like where we sent the water team and like climb up the side or the back of the mountain.
So yeah, it's kind of to climb. You'd have to get to like where the mouth is and climb the sides there, if you know what I mean. So the face kind of like sticks out of the mountain, and you'd have to like get to the end of the bridge and like move to either side of the Dragon Gate and climb up. Probably is the easiest way to do it. Other than that, it would be a case of like going around the side of the mountain, climbing up, and then moving all the way around to the top of the mountain. But you do know that there are 3 different spires, and you know it's quite a distance. It's a very, very large mountain. You'd have to like climb all the way across one, get to the central spire, and then climb down.
So yeah, Cynric looks to you, and I mean, we could use the fire of the machines to perhaps cover our advance, and then climb round the sides of the moor itself. Or a smaller, more subtle team could spend what would be maybe a day or more of climbing, moving round one side and climbing one peak and then down another.
We don't have a day, Cynric. It will be risky, and we will be climbing within our own artillery fire. It's risky, but it's a risk that I believe we should take.
Do you think we should march there with like a phalanx of dwarves to cover us from the projectiles, or that we just run across that long bridge?
Like I say, we make a show of it. We try everything we can to bring down that gate. So our efforts are still being directed to breaking into the mountain. And only a small force will accompany me. I will be going up the side of the dragon's skull. I would not ask you to come with me, but from experience, I know habits are hard to break. And he gives you a smile.
Yeah, Bord lost his axe in the chasm already, but he does. He's still clutching at his hatchet with his gauntleted fist, and he says no words, but he stands a little bit taller after you mention that you will be going, and yeah, you know he's with you.
Cynric is racking his mind for a better way out of this situation, out of the problem that they have, than a mad dash across a focal point of 2 armies worth of siege fire. But without the time, the luxury of time, perhaps they don't have any other option. Could I ask you another question, Lloyd? How quickly could I cross that bridge on horseback?
You could do it much quicker than most. The bridge is not in a great shape at the moment. Like there are, rubble everywhere and boulders and things that have been fired from both sides to some extent. I think you being an excellent horseman and having such good control over Ciaru, like she's unlikely to like lose it or like go mad or like scare. So I think you could do it in 3 rounds.
Okay.
I think a normal horseman maybe in 4, and also runs the risk of the horse just losing it when an artillery piece comes smashing across in front or something like that. We're talking about major animal handling checks.
Sure. Cynric looks at the two men who have basically possibly declared their death. You would run. It would take them, what, like 6 rounds or more through that fire?
Way more. I would say for you,
Way
it's
more.
3 at a full gallop. Like
Yeah.
dashing every turn.
Oh god! So they would be doing like 10 turns of running.
Potentially, yeah.
Potentially or more. How do you feel about riding a horse? I think speed might be our greatest ally in our defense. The longer we're on that bridge, the closer those projectiles will come to finding their mark.
Varros' mind goes back to that trusty steed that had been given to him by the elves. Farley, I believe the name was. And wishes that he still had that faithful steed by his side. But regardless, he nods with agreement. Another option, and this is more out of game than Varroth actually saying this, but I suppose another option would be for us to perhaps shield ourselves beneath a dwarven phalanx, perhaps.
Yeah.
And approach that way, but that would be significantly slower. Protect us from arrows more, but who knows with heavier objects.
Cynric like grabs Farah's shoulder and just had a thought. Now it may be the crazy tales of a dead man. What if we went under the bridge? Paragon can walk surfaces. If we put ropes and pittons, a small team could move under it, pull themselves up at the moor and climb it.
Varroth turns around and his suggestion he felt was outlandish and crazy. He looks to Cynric with his eyes wide, but then that expression turns into a grin and he says, yes, they would never see us coming.
Perhaps we should go hunt for Beragond. Unless you're confident that you can do this without him?
Even if Baragon was with us, we would still all have to make the journey regardless. If Baragon needs aid, he promised he would send word. He promised, and I trust him in that. We will let him do his work that he is best at, sticking to the shadows, undermining the enemy's efforts from behind their lines. We will do our part here. We will go under the bridge and then ascend the skull. And then he looks at Bord, knowing that Bord basically went over the bridge once already.
He's about 3 inches shorter than he was when he was standing tall after your words. He's looking at the floor, staring kind of through it. But he catches your eye and he's surprised. But then at seeing your face again and looking to Cynric, his friend, and knowing everything that he's just been through with you all, he nods and says, I'll follow. And then he grips the hand axe even more tightly and he says, but I'm not losing this one.
Will you go by night? Will you wait for it to get dark?
Mm.
Will you send troops across the bridge so that they're not looking under the bridge? I mean, they can.
Look, I mean,
yes.
They already have the advantage of being able to operate in the dark better than us. Is that a good idea? I mean, I know elves and dwarves are okay with it, but we're not. I don't know. What do you guys think? If you think that's a good call as well, then why not? Let's do it without being able to see.
I mostly suggested I think I could survive. I mean, given my current hit points aren't brilliant, I think I could survive 3 turns of dashing through madness, like on a horse. I don't know if Ciara would, but I don't think you guys could. Like, if you guys were struggling with horse and animal handling checks, and it takes you 4 or 5 rounds, let alone if you're on foot. and it takes you 10 plus, I think you'd get shot down. So that's why Cynric suggested.
I agree, and
Something
I
is massively
think it's a better idea for us to go into the bridge for that reason. Because I mean, we know how it feels. It's not like we charged this mountain and we got absolutely dartboarded by arrows, like continual fire of arrows all over the shop. I've just had a few pulled out of, Farroth has just had arrows just pulled out of him, like, so he doesn't want that to happen again. And it's also, they're not going to be able to see us if we're under the bridge. I don't know if darkness will help us in this plight, but if I'm going to be outvoted, then I don't mind. We'll see.
How long is it till darkness might be the operative question. How long do we give them if we were to wait?
It's mid to late afternoon now. I think you would have attacked in the morning. You've probably taken 2 hours, I would say, at this stage to like sit here and like try and recover. I'll let you guys roll 2 hit dice if you so wish. And yeah, so it's probably approaching like 4 o'clock. The thing about it is, like mechanically speaking, like orcs have dark vision, but they have it up to 60 feet. They don't have it up to whatever amount of hundreds of feet. So if you're climbing something like the gate, then it might make a difference. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That's.
And sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna kind of ask another meta question. Why don't we do both? Why don't we send people on the bottom while sending a legion of dwarves led by Board, or even just Cynric dashing across the bridge epically as a distraction and just kind of overwhelm them in all theaters, and then again continue to draw their eye away from underneath the bridge, further allowing you, Farroth, to swoop in the eyes and hatchet everybody or whatever.
Do the dwarves have a ram ready? Perhaps if we made motion on the gate with a ram, it would offer good enough distraction while we attempted to climb.
Yeah, I agree. I think dwarves going across the bridge with the ram in hand, we make a show of absolutely we're going to bash the gate down, and like you say, that'll hide our other attempts. But I would need people to come with me. As much as I trust in Farrell's abilities, he's going to need people to do this with him. He's not going to be able to take the entirety of that command post on his own.
Absolutely. No, I'm happy to climb once we get there. Perhaps, so if we rested for a few hours and let the dwarves build/finish, like some sort of fortified ram that would give them some protection and actually make an attempt on the door. At least then we might get some information on the door close up as well. But then we can try and climb in. I think
one more hour. I say 1 more hour. I personally, I don't want to leave it too much longer. I know that every hour that we wait, Beregond is having to stay alive down there. So 1 more hour, then we'll do it. And Farroth will declare that he will hear all of your suggestions, and he will agree to the fact that yes, absolutely, the best course of action would be to send the dwarves over with a battering ram, with Board. Absolutely, can lead them. Cynric can make his charge if he so wishes. Farroth will go beneath the bridge with a contingent of elves or Dunedain, probably Dunedain, I'd say.
Okay, Beregond, you fought your way deeper. Across these various bridges that span this mine shaft that just seems to go down infinitely. But you've gone down, must be hundreds of feet now, to try and get these slaves, to free all of them. You can see that many of them are like chained to their places, and every time you get somewhere, you're able to like pull those loose. And with the elves in tow, although they are dwindling quickly, you're able to free them and kill their masters, and they flee back as far as they can. Up, and then out. But it's at this stage that you come to like a larger area, and you can see that there's a great many slaves here. There's maybe 100, 150 or so. They're chained together in groups of maybe 10, and each end of the slave line is also chained to the wall, where they're just relentlessly hacking with pickaxes, trying to build new tunnels and things of that nature.
Could we have sent some reinforcements, by the way, while we're sitting for an hour. We can get the siege to hammer at the gate, but we could also send more elves down because we won't need them on the bridge for now.
Sure, if you want to.
Just a suggestion that there would be reinforcements bolstering that effort.
Yeah, on the way, certainly. How many would you send?
I don't know
Roughly.
how many elves
Like
we
hundreds?
have, really, but like another 100, another 200? I'm not
Okay.
sure what's a reasonable...
Yeah,
And
I
if-
think you probably have... How many would you have? I'd say maybe you have another 500 total.
I mean, we could send men, we can send dwarves. It seems silly for us to be sitting and waiting up here when there's actual fighting going on down below and not to send resources down.
Yeah, okay. So you enter into this area of Baragond, and you can see that there's a particularly like large orc. He's got an unusual helmet. It's in the shape of like a skull face, and it's got these like long curved horns that come off of it. And he's like bellowing orders in the black speech, and you can see like orcs moving quickly in different attachments and stuff. But then they like spot your.
They've already spotted us.
Well, yeah, I mean, from my understanding, is you're going in and freeing the slaves.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I
Trying.
think. Yeah.
So this is a rallying point. Okay.
Yeah. So he like calls out and bellows, and he like points. And some orcs rush forward. He rushes too, but as he does so, he like grabs this rope and like boom, boom, like rings this bell, and then like runs forward. Can you roll initiative for me, please?
I get a let's see. 7.
7. Okay. So this big orc starts running forward, and there are goblins with him. And Ithumiel, the captain who's with you, he draws an arrow and like fires it as quickly as he can towards that orc, and hits twice. Once in the leg, the meat of the thigh, and once in the shoulder.
Can I do an incidental?
Sure.
I'll tell Ithumiel, fall back to a defensible position.
Aye. He takes the shots, and then he will bolt with many of his elves who are also kind of firing as they go. A sort of Parthian shot as they like run away to somewhere more defensible, a bit of a choke point, as this like carpet of goblins approaches with this big orc in the middle. Vorchag, the pitmaster, with this like alarming sort of skull mask. He's running and he's not slowed by the arrow in his thigh or the arrow in his shoulder. And he reaches down and like grabs a spear off a goblin and is going to hurl it at you. With a 16 on the first throw.
Yep, that hits.
And 18 on the second, so that'll be 2. This is a good time to have all my dice. It's going to be 13 points of piercing damage from the 2 spears that are flung.
Okay.
And he just continues running as fast as he can.
Actually, can you tell me? Can you break it down into 2? Because I'll use evasion on the first one.
Yes.
To half it.
So if you want to, you can use it on the second. The first one was 5, and the second one.
Just as an automatic response, I'll do it on the first one, whatever happens.
Yeah. So the first one was 5.
So that'll be down to, it was 13 in total. So okay, so it's only a reduction of 1, maybe 2.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's running forward. There's this carpet of goblins with him. You can like, it's this alarming thing that you probably have never seen before. but they swarm like insects, goblins, in these caverns. They crawl down and up walls, and like all over the floor they swarm as if they are insects. And they are crawling towards you as quickly as they can. You can see, like, as the elves are fleeing, like 2 of them are just brought down into this carpet of goblins, and you can see just like knives being shanked into these elves as they try and flee. And you are going to have to make me an athletics or acrobatics to avoid getting grappled.
I'm grappled. Well, 11.
Okay, let's see. Yeah. So 2 goblin hands grab at your leg and 2 at your left shoulder, and then 1 grabs your hair and another around your throat, and they just pull you down into this carpet of goblins. There's this terrible stench and this like of goblins all around as they crawl all over you. You're going to take 7 piercing as they just like are biting and clawing and stabbing.
Okay.
The next to Vorchag, there
Oh,
are these...
I've gone there. I'll go down as that happens. If I'm basically, I know it's not my turn, but I'd like to just drop as they are clawing and biting all over me.
No problem. Yeah, onto the ground.
Yep.
The Uruks who are like running next to Vorchag, these are like big, heavily armored orcs, and they're doing the same sort of like jog. They see you go down, and so they run past, barreling towards the elves. You can see that they like all in unison like lift up these spears and throw as they're running, and like a couple of the elves go down, and then a second later they smash into the elves, and there's a melee that ensues, and it is your turn.
I'm going to just continue. I'm going to try and I might get stabbed a few more times, but I'm just going to try and act dead whilst they stab at me, and have my eyes blearily closed but open enough to keep an eye on the. I'll drop my blade, but have it within reach of my hand, and wait lying in ambush, playing possum, until the leader of the orcs, the skull-helmeted leader, is within range.
Okay. One of these goblins, he has this like very, very like a cut that's been cut into his mouth, and so his mouth opens like a snake almost. It's horrifying. He's got these like teeth that have been filed into points, and he like is like looking at you. He's like smelling all over you, and he like believes you to be dead, and so he tries to take a chunk out of your arm. He like picks it up and is going to try and eat you a little bit.
I'm not resisting, and
yeah, so he will hit you. You'll take 5 from that.
Do I have to make some deception roll or anything like that?
I think probably. I mean, if you're not resisting, I feel like the goblin is just going to be like, oh, he's dead, I'm going to eat him. So I don't think you need to. If it was one of the Uruks, I would say yes, but this goblin is
okay.
Not clever enough.
I'll go along with that.
The bell is still kind of echoing, this sort of and it stops. And then you can hear this like far off sort of like chant that's happening, like a something is approaching, it seems. Ithumiel is dancing among the Uruks. You can see he's got a sword that he's slashing. Quickly, he like cuts the head off one of the orcs, and he's fighting as best that he can, although there are a great many, and the goblins are approaching now as well. The pitmaster is going to run past you now, so if you'd like to make whatever action you had planned, you can do that.
Well, you said that they're reacting to something else approaching, and just out of caution and things like that, I'd like to wait. From the way they're reacting and things like that, does it seem like the arrival is imminent of whatever they're...
Mm-hmm.
Okay, then I'll wait to see what new evil is coming.
So he runs past you. He runs into the melee, and you can see just barely as you kind of like open your one good eye for a second. You can see that he like grabs Ithumiel by the hair and like pulls him back and like smashes his helmeted face into Ithumiel's head, who like goes limp for a second. The goblins are crawling all over you still. You will be taking passive damage as they crawl over you. And shank you as they go. It's going to be another 7.
Okay. And I can't take evasion. Well, if I took evasion, that would. So it's 7. Okay.
Yeah. And then it's your turn.
This, whatever they're expecting, is it here yet or not?
Not yet, but you can hear them chanting. Do you? Yeah, you speak Elvish of some kind, do you?
Yes, I speak Sindarin.
They're chanting something that sounds ancient. They're saying Akoramur, and they're chanting it. Akoramur, Akoramur.
With my lore of the lost, where I've picked up snippets of information, does this name mean anything?
You think it sounds Numenorian?
Oh.
Oh no.
And you say that the orc chief. Okay, I'm just going to have to go for the orc chief. How many, just sort of peering out, how many more goblins are going to be running over me, or have most of the wave gone past me already?
Most of them have gone past you, yes. There is this one biting goblin who's like sitting next to you, and he's got your arm in his hands. He's like, look you want to eat.
Okay, I'm going to kill him. Okay. I'm going to kill him, and then I'm going to, having sort of looked around, I'm going to then roll, I'm going to just kill him as quickly and as silently as possible, and then roll under his dead body and other dead bodies that have fallen from the arrow fire and things like that, and just try and hide again.
Okay, go for it.
Do I have surprise on him?
Definitely.
So suddenly he's gnawing on my leg. Suddenly this corpse comes alive, grabs a dragon-bladed sword, and sticks it through his midriff for not very good. Will 15 get him?
It will. Yep.
So that's fortunate. So, and I do 26 points of damage.
He dies immediately. He doesn't even make a sound.
And then I roll into hiding. I'll hide as my bonus action, hiding in amongst the corpses for a hide of 21.
Excellent. Okay. The biting goblin is dead. And now you don't even see because you're hiding, but you can sense the arrival of the Black Numenorian. There's a coldness that comes over this place you're in. It was warm. There was fire burning from furnaces and things like that. And just the humidity of the underground and of the sweat of the slaves, but it becomes cold all of a sudden. And you can, although you can still hear the clamor, you can hear very clearly, distinctly, the crunch of an armored figure walking slowly into this area. You hear him say something in the black speech. And there's you don't speak black speech, do you?
No.
So he says something in the black speech, and there's a clamor from the orcs. He like calls out, and I imagine you're like looking through some of these goblin corpses, trying to get a look at what's happening. He like points at Ithumiel and like makes a fist, and Ithumiel stops moving. And Vorchag pulls his blade across Ithumiel's throat, who falls into the dirt. The clamor ends quickly with the Black Numenorian. He runs into the melee, and begins to lay into the elves.
Very well. The moment he runs past me, I'll attack.
Okay. Absolutely. You can have inspiration for that insane bravery. So he walks past you, basically, totally arrogant. You can go ahead and make an attack. You do have surprise.
19.
Unfortunately not. The dragon blade rakes against the plate, the black plate, obviously forged in Mordor. And there's a spark. And he's walking forward and stops. And you can feel the force of his gaze as he like looks down into the pile of bodies and sees you.
And I'll say in Sindarin, you were the your sword bears the markings of the royal guard of Numenor. You were Sauron's jailer when he was brought in chains, and you were the one who first introduced him to Ar-Pharazôn and enabled the corruption of the king of Numenor and the downfall of that continent.
There's something that comes across his face that looks like it might be a smile. His lips peel back, and you can see these black teeth. And he says in Sindarin, Ilak Anor eth Arthon Guanen, which is the flame of Anor has left the world. The sun is gone. Darkness reigns. And he smiles, and he will attack you. Okay, so that's going to definitely hit. That is only a 16. Does that get you?
Yep.
Okay. So the first one's going to be 13. And the second one is going to be 11.
And you hear him go, Gondor! And falls.
You have been preparing in the camp, trying to get ready and make ready for this assault. You have been gathering the dwarves, checking that the ram is working, and gathering rope and things of that nature to get ready and to see what happens next.
So with the elven-made harnesses and dwarven-made climbing gear and hammers and things, Cynric, buckled up, turns to Faroth. I think we send the climbers first, and then send the ram after. Don't want the ram to attract too much fire down on the climbers.
Indeed, Faroth looks to the collected Dunedain. I'm going to say he's taking his own people with him beneath the bridge. Lloyd, just tell me how many I could have amassed to come with me. I don't want to say I bring 500 Dunedain with me. Do you know what I mean? Like, how many can I bring with me?
I mean, there probably are 500 Dunedain total. No, because you sent a few off to the dam. I mean, I'm being deliberately vague with numbers.
No, that's fine. I just want to take a small party anyway. We want to go unnoticed, so I will take. Look, Faroth said way back he was going to take Gundabad with 50 men. Do you remember?
Oh boy.
He's going to take 50 with him, if that's okay.
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 The legion of dwarves that is going to be putting up kind of a tortoise shell, I imagine, over the ram and kind of on the way across the bridge. the fellow Bjornings, which I imagine isn't even 50. I think there might even be maybe like 14 left or fewer. We, I think, would do well to kind of hide in the midst underneath that tortoise shell until the very last second when they'll jump out and strike into the maw of the dragon, and maybe that's where Bord will be hidden underneath the shields of what might have been in another life an enemy.
Yes, perfect. So Farath, you're going under, and Cyneric, you're going under, or are you charging across with Ciaru and the dwarves?
If I got flush up to the gate, can the bastions not really fire down on me, or am I still in just as much danger? Because there's no point me getting there early if I'm just going to get shot.
Okay, so the siege weapons couldn't shoot you. Their siege weapons couldn't shoot you. But you imagine, since it's the gate, there's definitely ways for archers and things to shoot at you there. You know? Absolutely.
So I don't think there's actually any benefit to me solo charging. And also, Ciara got injured and doesn't particularly want to see her die. So I think I will climb with the rest of the rangers as part of that force. Sorry.
Also to throw out there, no worries. I'm sorry. Also to throw out there, this is kind of a 1, 2, 3 punch thing. Climb, battering ram, and then that third, the uppercut is kind of the charge across the bridge through the front door. So I don't see a charge as being completely out of the question, but definitely not one, alone across the bridge.
Oh, yes, you make a good point. Maybe we should have a follow-up. I was thinking that, it might take a while to take the gate and then the charge goes in. Perhaps we can give orders to have a cavalry contingent, waiting ready for when the bridge is cleared, if we get through the door through our means, and maybe one of them could bring CRO?
Yeah, that's definitely possible. For the last hour, I guess, while you've been sitting here, the siege, your siege, has been hammering that gate right under your command. So you think that when the ram gets there, it shouldn't, it still will be significant, but it won't be, the usual hours, I guess, that it would take, because you've been focusing your fire on it. Yes, you can tell one of the elves to bring Ciara across.
Yeah, on the chance that I get to hook up, because I imagine inside there is some very large chambers for all the trolls and such to move through. So a cavalry charge might be appropriate.
Okay, then here we go.
Holy shit.
Farath. Actually, I'm going to make this a skill encounter all around for the three of you guys. It's probably the easiest way to do it. So for Farath and Cyneric, obviously the skills that apply are the sort of climby ones, but also, I think always speech skills apply. I think always insight, perception, things like that apply. And for you, Bord, same sort of situation. It's going to be a skill encounter.
Excellent.
So I'm going to say that you guys need 5 successes before you get 3 failures.
Okay, well, Faroth is going to use open, strong, and uses acrobatics, and I'm sure that isn't one that you guys use because you're not Dexy builds. So let's see.
No.
Not to
so
matter,
if you use
but,
acrobatics, rules question, if you use acrobatics, we can still do that as well, correct?
No, only if he fails.
Got you. I see.
Yeah. So once a skill is used, no one else can use it until the skill, unless it's failed.
Yes. That is 24 for acrobatics.
Okay. So your lifetime of being a Dunedain Ranger pays off. You are wiry and you are ready for this. Memories of climbing the Misty Mountains shake through you as you begin to find handholds underneath this bridge, and you're tying ropes using pittons to smash them into the stone. And with the whole team of you there, all of the Dunedain, it's easier going than you would have expected initially.
Go next.
Sure.
Go ahead.
Oh, I meant for you to go next, but okay.
Oh, cool. I couldn't actually. I'll do it. I couldn't tell if it was a question or a statement. I'll absolutely do it. You see, these dwarves, this kind of legion, a tortoise of shields, they look waving like in some sort of steel ocean, moving across this bridge. and the camera pans down and zooms in into one of the cracks of the shields, very tiny, and it immediately closes up, and you see Bjornings crawling like sinewy bears in between the dwarven ranks, hiding in their midst as the dwarves are marching across the bridge. And one of the dwarves is shaking his shield, and he says, this is nothing but a diversion. And Bord speaks up in a whisper and says, "My name is Bord, son of Berengar. This is no diversion. Today you reclaim your homes." And he's going to try to roll persuasion to keep everyone's morale high and keep everyone in line crossing the bridge under fire. So that is a total of 19.
Yes, sir. Excellent.
Awesome.
There's a ripple that goes through the dwarves, and they are heartened. Baruch Khazad!
Bord says Baruch Khazad. Baruch Khazad. He mispronounces it.
They know you mean well, and the enthusiasm is definitely there. Cynric.
Okay, so I am going to. Now he made this suggestion. He would be fine across that bridge, or better than others. He made this suggestion for the betterment of his friends, and as he makes that first swing over the lip and underneath the bridge, it is a terrifying sight. He has climbed mountains and he is near drowned. And now he swings above an abyss. He is going to attempt to use perception to find the best places to put the pittons and make the climbing. That was not good. Does this count as wilderness?
I don't think so.
Okay, that is a 14 total.
Okay, so you're looking at this stonework, and it's not natural. It's kind of odd. It's smooth in lots of places. And you're looking for a handhold, and you're struggling to do so. And at one stage, you reach out for what looks like a good one, but it's actually worn smooth. And your fingers slip, and only for the ropes that are tied around you, you and swing down below. For a moment, your stomach is upside down and your heart is in your mouth as you kind of feel the weightlessness for a moment before the ropes kind of and creak and hold you up.
I can only imagine that it must be awful, stomach churning. Caught by the bonds here. Take some time to recover.
Okay. Faroth.
Faroth is leading the Dunedain beneath this bridge, carefully putting one hand in front of the other, and he makes a fatal error. Well, hopefully not fatal, but a grim error. He puts his hand on a piece of rock that gives way, and one of his arms just basically drops to his side as this rock gives away, and he looks down into the almost bottomless ravine that's beneath them. I mean, this is Middle Earth. They go down forever and ever and ever, don't they? And he's looking down and he realizes he needs to take a better route. He needs to pick the perfect route. He's going to use survival for his next roll. Let's see. That is 17.
Okay. So unfortunately, you cannot find one. You're searching for a better route. But again, it's a similar thing with Cynric. You're looking for natural sort of outcroppings and things that you're used to in the wilderness, and you're struggling to see any. And you can just hear your heart just going nuts as you reach for one and the rock comes loose, and then you like try and like follow one of the ropes and the pin hasn't been hammered in properly, and it lets go, and you swing for a moment as well. As you like desperately try and grab a rope, you like almost feel your arm come out of its socket as you like hang on barely, and hang there limply, swinging. And you think if anyone was looking that they would see you. Board.
Board might see through an opening in the shields. Faroth swinging, just dangling there, perhaps. And he takes a sharp breath in, but he's distracted because he sees the great gate. And this distraction, which at first brings him joy, they're almost there. We're close, my friends. Turns to fear as he struggles to see an immediate weakness that can be directly exposed by the ram. It seems like the siege equipment has done plenty of damage, but still yet I would like to maybe make an insight check into these goblins that I have been fighting for years. Have I seen their, I don't know, do I know about their gates? Have I broken in a goblin door before? That's my idea behind rolling insight for the skill check.
I think in Mirkwood you certainly would have encountered various goblin forts and things like that.
Okay, all right, that's not bad. Now I don't have insight, and okay, so total of 16.
You're struggling. You're looking at it, and this is no goblin gate. When you look at it, you can tell the scale and the perfection of the stonework. This was once fashioned by dwarves, and there's no weakness that you could perceive. You think there's very few weaknesses that even dwarves could perceive. It looks impenetrable as you approach it.
Come now, Faroth, climb, he mutters under his breath.
And Faroth does climb, and there is the noise you were hoping not to hear, Faroth and Cyneric. Arrows. As one goblin calls out, and it begins. The insane volley of arrows that fire on your position. They have seen you. Actually, I'll get each of you to make dex saves, please. Dex, saves. And on the bridge board, the speed has been decent, but now there is a call, and they see what's happening, and they begin to fire all anew. One of the siege engines is pointed at the phalanx and fires. Let's see if they manage to connect. Okay. What are your dex saves like?
My dex save is a 16.
Mine's a 23.
Okay.
17 on the die.
It's a difficult way to shoot, though. I would say it's a difficult angle to hit people climbing under a gate, even poorly. Bridge, even poorly.
Depends what they are.
There's just a lot of them. Yes, and they're also on the side, so like if they were looking, they could see you.
Oh man!
You said you got a 24 or something. Did you?
23. Yeah, I've got 17 on the die.
So an arrow like whizzes in front of your face, but does not connect. You, Cynric, are going to take.
I can't really make 23. Damn it, Faroth. Making me look bad.
You're going to take 6 points of piercing damage from one of these arrows, and I need you to make a dex save to hold on to the ropes.
I do imagine we are harnessed up, but yes, I will make the dex save. That is almost a crit. That is 21.
Excellent. Yep. So the arrow catches you in the side, and for a moment you reflexively go to like clutch at it, and then you remember what you're doing, and you like hold on to the tight to the rope, and you're able to maintain your footing is not the right word. Your grip.
Sure.
A missile fires from one of these siege engines board, but it soars right over you. You can feel the force of the wind as it goes over, barely missing you. You are maybe 30 feet from the actual gate, not far at all now, with the ram. And you underneath the bridge also have made it most of the way across, but yes. I will... What to do now?
Do you want me to continue skill checking?
Yes, I
while
think that's the
take
best thing to do.
damage.
Yep. And you as well, Faroth.
Yep. So skill challenge, a different skill. Cool.
It was my skill challenge in the turn order, as it were.
Yes.
Did you want me to
Yep.
go?
No worries.
Please.
So I was going to choose stealth, which might still be beneficial as I try, cling to the underside of the bridge. And I did actually manage a 22 on that.
Okay. So the first arrow connects with you, and then you like pull yourself up, and there's like a little lip where the bridge is, and you can like push yourself against there, and like take a breather and begin climbing towards the gate itself. Faroth.
So I was gonna pick stealth because it's
sorry,
my best one, but no, it's fine.
I feel like I needed to use one of my best.
I literally don't have any idea what else I can use. It would be very dangerous for me to use athletics.
Oh crap! Oh, I could have done that.
No, I'll tell you what. Leap of faith. Let's just do it. I'm going to go athletics. It's the only one that's left that makes sense. I don't think nature quite works. So let's do it. I'm already hanging. So come on. Okay, that's pretty good. Let me look at my sheet. That's a modified 20.
Okay.
Nice.
You see what Cineric does, and it seems to be working. You pull yourself into that lip as well and hold yourself there for a moment, and you can see the goblins then kind of like turn from firing at you at firing at some of your Dunedain allies. You see one of them gets an arrow in the shoulder and just Wilhelm screams and falls down into the pit, and you can see there's lots of them that are getting targeted at the moment. Board, can you make me another check of your choice to get closer to that gate?
Yes. His objective is just to get there at this point, but athletics has been used. I should have been marking these down. Insight.
We could use the ones that failed. Remember?
Yes.
Okay.
What did I fail on? I swung and I missed, didn't I?
Survival and perception.
Survival. Yeah, survival.
Survival. Okay.
Failure. Yeah, in survival is a failure.
I think perception makes more sense. I think we're getting to the point where the next move is to open up the shell and charge towards the gate. And these people are going to need to follow somebody. And so Board moves up towards the front, and he's helping to carry the ram now right at the front. And you see a goblin looking down from maybe one of these fiery eyes, and the tortoiseshell kind of ripples strangely, and he looks at it confused, and it opens up, and then out pours these Bjornings and these dwarves all clutching this ram together, screaming towards the gate. And I'm going to use perception to try to determine the perfect place to go, the most weak point of the gate, if anything, a good educated guess. Sure. And so that is going to be, okay, great, not bad. That's a total of 16. Oh, no.
Unfortunately not. You're looking, and again, it's dwarven stonework. You have no conception of what might be a weak point. It looks to be perfect. You like look at it, and you're like studying it. And as you are studying it, there's a moment of hesitation. I need you to make a dex save.
Great. For some reason, I have a point of inspiration.
Okay, go for it.
I mean, is it too late? Do you think? No. I mean, if you say okay, a dwarf is standing on the other side of the ram, and they have a side by side with a friend moment, and they quicken their pace just for a moment. That's a natural 18, so that's a 25. That's got to be.
That's a success. Yeah.
There, I'm gonna. All right, that's the only.
So all right. With the dwarf, you're like running next to him. And he like points, the crack, this like imperceptible crack from where the siege weapons had hit it, and you rush towards it.
Awesome.
Okay, nice. One more round.
Okay. What have what have we done now? Survival is one of them.
Survival is still able to be
Survival's
used
gotta be
because
good, yeah.
Insight is the other that was failed.
Okay.
How with 2 rangers was survival one of the ones we failed to do? I don't know. Do you mind if I take it? I don't have a lot going for me.
We all need to get across somehow, so just do it, man. It's all good.
Sure, unless I can goad people like animals, I'm not a good situation.
Dude, no, that's fine.
Oh, that's good. That's good. That's 23. So Cynric is finding inner reserves pulled up into this lip. The arrows beneath him cease or lessen. He looks to those around him, looks to the awful situation they find themselves in, though perhaps it could have been worse. He finds that grit that has allowed him to survive Morgul blades. He sees a stone, a handheld. It is an obvious one, and he holds onto it. Then the next one, and the next. It seems as if there is a path opening before him that he could not see before, and he leads the contingent that are near him in a quick and decisive manner.
What did you get?
22?
Oh, okay.
I hope that was a success.
I didn't hear that. Okay, perfect. Yes, that is a success. So you managed to lead them. That is now your good on successes. You managed to lead them, and you pull yourself up, Farath, and the remaining 40 Dunedain up over the lip and onto where the mountain wall now is in front of you. You've been climbing that towards where the dragon's face is, at the same time as the ram connects into the gate with a thundering force, and then is like pulled back with the mechanisms, and again. You can hear shouts from above in the gate, some deep, sort of throated black speech roaring from up there. And you can hear now aboard under the dragon's sort of mouth the constant of arrows firing down, but are because you're safe underneath that gate at the moment, nothing is happening. But that's when you see up above this splash of burning oil come down and cover some of these dwarves. The rest of you who are climbing up the mountain, you can see up on the snout of the dragon that there are goblins looking out and are going to be firing upon you. Before we do all that, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back into the action in about 2 minutes.
Awesome.
Oh my god! bum, 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 bum.
I could have gone a little more smoothly.
we made it. That's the thing. Like, we made it, and that's what counts.
Yeah. But now the difficult part. Climbing into the flaming eyes of a stone dragon and killing all within.
Yeah, I was thinking about the. No, I did say, oh, well, maybe we'll be able to like douse them, but I didn't actually say how. So I'm guessing we're just gonna have to jump through the fire. And I hope.
Well, I think fires burn from within. I'm not sure if they're constantly giving off fire or not. Maybe there's a window. You know, the old like big spinning fan thing.
Yeah.
Trope.
I don't know. We're gonna find out very soon. Elven cloaks are fire resistant, right?
Guys, what happened to Baragon?
So I'm really hoping that he hasn't just been murdered.
I think a Numenorian would probably delight in keeping a pet. I mean, Baragon obviously has some important stuff on him, like looks.
The dragon, yeah, he's got all those grand weapons, and also, like, if he uses him as a bargaining tool in the siege, then that's going to be a bitch. That's going to be a real bitch.
Or it might not be the Black Archer is the only one that we have to fight.
No! Don't even say it. You're just giving him ideas, Dan.
That's what he just asked for. But
that's true. He's asking for ideas. Don't say anything.
I think Caius would love that. But... I mean, I told him, like, ask for help. As if Baragon was going to listen. There
was no way. They'd gone in too deep, really, I reckon.
It was far too late for reinforcements to make a difference. So the way Baragon had phrased it was very clearly like, we're going to save everybody or else we're not leaving, you know?
Yeah, that was pretty clear.
Which is great. Like, it's so rad and very, very Gondorian, I think, and like very Middle-earth.
Yep. Well, we're not gonna leave until we get Baragon safe, even though we don't know what happened. That's the thing, and this is something else that's very Middle-earth, is that you don't know what's happened to your friends, because that's like a whole thing with Frodo and Sam. They're like, we don't know if they're alive or dead, you know.
You're just gonna carry on.
What does your heart tell you? You know,
they're alive.
Exactly.
Yeah.
How irreverent towards Sir Ian McKellen.
Oh man.
Not idly did the Baragons fall.
It's not Sir Ian McKellen. It's really called Serena.
Serena
McKellen.
Serena McKellen.
Serena McKellen.
He does his job well.
Baragon.
Are we back? Oh yeah. Shit.
You open your eye, your one good eye. There's just like this dull throb that you can feel. It's pain. You're in darkness and you're not alone. There are men and dwarves also chained around you in this little room. They all look injured. It's very, very cold in this room. Your teeth are chattering and there's this freezing wind that howls into the room from a nearby window. And there's bright light sort of visible through like a slit there. You see there's bones on the ground. Some of them are human, some not. Your wrists are chained. And you kind of like, through great effort, manage to like turn your head and like follow up your left arm to where your wrist is chained. And you can see you're missing a finger. That's where the throb is coming from. 2 fingers. Your pinky finger and your ring finger from your left hand have been removed. And there's this dull sort of throb there. You're in too much pain overall to feel the specific pain. The chains on your wrists are obviously designed for uruks. They're bigger than they should be. And although it would take a lot of work to get your hand through, maybe you'd even have to break some bones to pull it through, you think it's possible at least. The other people in this room with you are unresponsive, either dead or unconscious.
To Noviel. And what's the way out? Where sort of is there can I make out a door or anything like that?
It's actually not even a door. It's like it's almost like you're in a tunnel, and there is like a funnel sort of exit.
Then I'll can I hear water or anything like that, or is there water dripping from the ceiling?
You can hear the wind rushing outside. It's quite loud, but other than that, no water. You are chained to the wall.
Wind? That's a surprise.
There's an arrow slit. Yep.
Then I'll do what needs to be done to get out of these fetters.
Okay. I need you to make me a Constitution saving throw.
Oh, I've got inspiration. I'll use that. Oh, I'm glad I did. 22.
Okay.
From 3 to 22.
Is it your left hand or your right hand that you're trying to pull through the...
My right hand.
Okay.
If my left hand is missing fingers, my right hand will be more useful.
So you start to pull, and your hand is like stuck, and it's agonizing, and you can feel like the iron cutting into the skin of your hand as you like pull, and there's like a rattling of the chain as you like pulling as hard as you can and gritting your teeth. You think you feel your thumb dislocate as you pull all the way out, and finally you're able to pull it out with agony. Another throb to add to the many. The walk, the plate, crunch, and the cold. You believe you are going somewhere. Voice from the darkness.
Do I recognize the voice?
You do.
I thought I did.
This does not have to be painful. You can join. He is the Lord of Gifts, after all.
What gifts do you have?
It is easier to ask what we do not have. There are treasures here beyond your understanding, ancient things of elder days. Whatever your heart desires can be given to you if you simply tell us what we need to know. It will be easier if you tell us. I can, if need be, pull those secrets from you.
My family were once the wardens of Minas Ithil, before it became known as Minas Morgul. And we had as our heirloom in that city It was the helmet of the Wardens of Minas Ithil. It was our status. And it would please me if I could recover it and wear it again.
The King of Witches dwells there, one of his homes, the mightiest of the Lord of Gifts servants. Although he
I'm
has
trying
no
to make
need
out.
for such trinkets. It could be done if you tell us what we need to know.
My head is dizzy. You hit it a few times, and it is not fully clear again. A drink of water may help me to remember what you need to know.
He steps forward, and you can see him now. He stands about a head taller than you. Maybe this is the closest you've seen him, the Black Numenorian. He has no helmet on. He wears black plate, high gorget. Around his eyes, tattoos, flames. His mouth distorted, filled with black teeth. Skin deathly pale. You are not in a bargaining position. I have taken from you 2 fingers already. I can take more. If I wish it, you will serve me for all time.
But if it is information you want, you need me to have a clear head, and water would help me.
He reaches out with his clawed gauntlet and puts it around your throat and pushes you back against the wall. You are going to make this difficult. Then I will pry the secrets from you in whatever way I deem necessary. He begins to chant in the black speech, Uzna, Dornash, Unara. And he takes his left finger and begins to move it towards your face.
My eyes have been going over whilst I've been talking, and my eyes have been getting accustomed to this darkness. They've been going over him and trying to spot what his most valuable possession is. I can't stop my habits.
That's a good question. He wears a suit of armor that you think must be a relic of Numenor, reforged in the fires of Mount Doom. It is incredible. The craftsmanship, every inch of it is embossed with, engraved with details, depictions of eyes, of towers, of fists, of skulls, all manner of terrible thing. You know that he carries a blade as well, although you cannot see it well from where you are. He reaches his left finger forward and places it onto your forehead and begins to press, and you can feel the metal begin to pierce your skin.
I'm going to try and... oh, this is death, but I'll do it anyway. I'm going to try and snatch his weapon and stab it into him.
Okay. So your right hand is free. God. All right. Let's see how you could attempt this. Just sword.
As my...
He has a Mogul blade that he stabbed me with. That would be easier to draw.
You have a knife as well.
And as my... as one of my class abilities, if I hit someone, I can, instead of doing a sneak attack, I can grab something that isn't actually in their hands.
Okay. Okay, go for it.
Does he know that my hand is free? Do I have surprise on this first move?
I think you have surprise because he wouldn't. The arrogance is such that he would never expect you to try anything in the state that you're in.
Yep. But do I have disadvantage because of the state I'm in? I mean, what state am I in?
That's a good point. You should have levels of exhaustion.
Yeah, so I'll just
3. Then you should be okay for an attack.
Okay, go for it.
I'll just do a straight attack. I don't really have a straight attack, but I'll.
I mean, is it sleight of hand roll to try to grab the weapon first, or have you already got that?
Can I do the sleight of hand then? Can I do it as sleight of hand?
You can.
Okay. And no, I won't do it unless I get an 11.
Okay, so your condition is such
clumsy.
that you're clumsy and you're tired and you're dehydrated and you've been near death, and so what usually would be a swift and amazing movement looks telegraphed, and he can see the hand moving. He's got his right hand on your throat and his left one at your forehead. He sees the hand move, and his hand comes in and grabs your wrist. There's agony as he grabs where your thumb had been dislocated and squeezes.
Ah!
He presses his hand tighter, and blackness comes over your vision. At the bridge, there is chaos, clamor. You are climbing inside. You are now, you can see those eyes. A door, basically, 20 feet tall, open as well. There's like a stone inlay at the center that looks like the pupil of an eye, but the rest of it is open. You can walk and you can feel the heat coming from it already. This insane sort of flame heat. Cynric and Faroth and the various people at the top there. You make it to the top and you're able to see that. Are you going to rush in there?
Flames have definitely come out of the eyes at one point or another that we've seen, or is it just a fire within the eyes that we've been? It's
within, so it's a glow. They don't shoot flames.
Okay, cool. I would creep forward up to the edge, perhaps, and try spy inside what the situation is.
As you're about to, Faroth puts a hand upon your shoulder and gives you a nod and tells you to wait, as he, hopefully, is going to be a bit quieter. I don't know. We will see. That's 23 for stealth.
Okay. So you creep ahead and you can come to the edge where the door is, the eye is. You can look inside. There is industry there. There are a great many orcs there working. You can see big barrels of boiling oil that are positioned so that they can just tip them into the murder holes. You can see now that there is a second gate behind where the main stone gate is, and then a third, and then a fourth. 4 gates, each about 4 feet thick, each of them made of steel. And enormous. This is, it looks insane, this gatehouse. There are fires burning here, massive fires. And you would see 100 orcs in this this sort of gatehouse. But most notable of all, on a throne, is a particular orc. And you would see it immediately, the helmet that he wears. A dragon helmet. The dragon helmet. It's a relic of such legend. And you can see that he's wearing it. He's sitting in this full plate mill. He's looking around the place at the various orcs at work, and occasionally he'll mutter something, and orcs will immediately do as he says. This is obviously the Lord of the Dragon Gate.
Faroth turns and he whispers to Cynric and the collected Dunedain, and he says, 100 orcs, maybe more, and four gates. They will need to be opened. We move in. We kill as many as we can. Cynric and I, we will strike forth at the one that bears the dragon helm. You will recognize him when you see him. We kill him. We open the gates. and our brothers beneath can enter. And he slowly starts drawing the flame in the north from its scabbard, and he says, "We must be quick. Are you ready?"
I, out of character, just get a layout, just so I know. So there is a central channel with 4 separate, almost like sluice gates or something, and then there are 2 like raised platforms roughly in line with each eye on either side, where the industry and the heat and the fires presumably ready to pour stuff down on people who gets trapped in the gates in
So
between.
there's like a grate that covers all of those gates, like a metal grate that oil can be poured down on. It's probably just about thick enough that you could fire arrows down, which you imagine those orcs are ready to do when that gate opens. Yeah, so there's this middle sort of line that has that grate, and then either side there's like stonework and like there's like cover and different levels, and yeah, it's a bastion.
Right. Do we see? Oh, does Fareth see/explain? Are there like, you know, mechanisms on our level at each gate that we can unhinge and draw the gates?
So the mechanisms look pretty basic in that it looks like you need to like pull them, and you can see that there are or that there would be like teams of orcs that would like push a wheel that would like open each side of the gate.
Okay, so we might.
There'll be no opening the gate if we still have orcs there trying to stop us. We clear out, then we open the gates, I think.
Yeah. Maybe send like, so we've crawled up on the top of the snout now. Maybe maybe send a message back to drop ropes and have Bjornings come climb up and aid us, or the dwarves as well, because there's no getting in for them down there, really. Not until we're finished up here.
That basically, if they crack that front gate, they will face more gates, lots more gates. You know,
so they might as well come up here. Is my thought. So
and just throwing this out there, I'm not the smartest character, but if you throw a rope down, I'll probably get it. I imagine I'll be like, that makes sense.
So yeah, Fareth describes that situation and says, like, we will take the dragon helm. You know it when you see it. Cynric nods, and at the description turns to like the ranger behind him to then have a message like pass down and down and down, I guess.
Yeah. The ropes are passed down quickly, and you, Board, can see with many of the dwarves. These ropes come down either side of the dragon gate. Elven rope, you would know. It's definitely not a goblin trick.
Board reaches out and grabs one of these ropes and tests it, pulls it down, sees how taut it is, and motions to his Bjorning companions to start climbing up. And so the first people to start climbing up, however many ropes, will be these few other Bjornings.
Perfect. Are you guys going to wait for them to arrive before you run in?
I think we'd probably start with them.
Well, as long as it doesn't undermine our advantage of being hidden and striking from catching them by surprise, then I'm happy to wait. But it just depends, really, doesn't it? I think it's probably going to be better if we just go in, to be honest. I think Fareth will be too eager just to go in. So as soon as he's seen that the ropes are going to go down, he draws his blade and he says, "Onwards through the eye of the dragon," and bursts into the skull of the dragon and is going to basically try and gun his way towards the dragon helmed orc, but we'll see.
Baby. Okay, so let's roll initiative, please. Let's do it.
Are we all starting this on like half health?
Yep.
We got health back, didn't we? We had 2 hit die back.
Oh, we only rested for 1 hour, not 2.
No, we did 2 hours, then waited a further hour.
Oh, right. Okay, so we had 3. Okay.
Oh, okay.
I only did 2.
2 is what I said overall. I guess that last hour,
we would have been busy.
Would have been because you would have been organizing.
That's fine.
Okay.
Fine by me. So I'm actually all right for health. I'm not great, but I'm all right.
Okay, that's much better. I only rolled 1 dice, so I've got a few more. Cool.
Okay.
Initiative. Yeah, 15.
Can you roll as well, Beragond? I want to cut to you every now and then and talk in black speech.
So I don't know how good the dwarves will be climbing those ropes, but maybe they can get in.
Okay. Big list. Okay. You shout your charge, Faroth, and you run forward into this madness. You can see all these things all over the place, but notably, you can't turn away from the helmet, the dragon helm of Dol Eomin, this insane relic of elder days. It's got an image of Glaurung, the first dragon, over the top, like a sort of horsehair crest. And the orc wears it. He also wears this fine armor. You can imagine that's probably not orcish. And a beautiful scimitar, two-handed, lies across his lap as he surveys the battle around him. You can also see that at the foot of his throne, there's an orc that has an entirely iron jaw. It looks like his jaw was torn off at some stage and replaced. There are several orcs standing around that have these long sort of halberds, and they have mock dragon helms, nowhere near as glorious as the one that this lord wears, but still definitely associated with him. And probably most shocking of all, curled around the base of that throne, there is a creature, maybe longer than a horse, wingless, a serpent with legs, some sort of drake. This is what you see as you charge in, and it's your turn.
Yeah. Oh God. Okay. So I'm guessing there isn't going to be is there a clear path to get to the Lord of the Dragon Gate, or are there lots of orcs in my way?
I will say, for the sake of expediency, yes. You can run through and bash orcs to the side and make a beeline for him.
Yeah, Faroth believes in his mantra that he said earlier, which is cut off the head of the serpent. That's exactly what he intends to do. So he charges forth, Flame of the North held high, and he makes his attacks. The first one is a 23.
Yep.
Second one is a natural 20. Oh my goodness me. I'm sorry, I didn't even pre-roll. Bear with me. Okay, so the normal one is 15, 16, 17 points of damage. The crit damage is going to be is it normal damage and then the crit table, or do I double my damage and get the crit table?
You roll your damage dice twice and then we do the table.
Yeah, that's fine. And then, so the second attack will be 24 points of slashing damage as well.
Goodness me.
Yeah,
Make
17.
sure that's on the Lord and not the actual serpent when you're cutting off the head of the serpent.
That's the Lord.
Right.
Figured. Can you roll me a d10, please?
Gladly, sir. Gladly. That was a really good roll. That was a 7.
7. Okay, so you cut across straight to him. He's almost just stunned. He's watching as you run across the room, and he looks confused as you run up to him, and the second slash cuts across his face under where the helmet is and slashes. It's a minor scar which he'll bear for the rest of his days. The crit effect. Is that it for you?
It certainly is. Varel stands there waiting for inevitable reprisal.
Oh baby, it's coming. He stands next to you. He is taller than you. Unusual for an orc. They tend to be smaller. He's definitely a rare sort of breed. An Uruk of the most noble kind, do you think? If you can use the word noble to describe their piteous race. He stands up and he takes his two-handed scimitar and gets ready. But first, he calls out and says something in this black speech, and you can feel the drake beneath you twitch and turn and snarl.
We know black speech, so what roughly does he say?
To me.
To me, okay.
Yeah. It's a command. He is then going to unleash just misery upon you. Oh boy. Okay, so the first one, he's too close to you with the scimitar. He's not able to get a good angle. So the first one misses and he steps back. The second one, he's going to slash across you for 10 slashing. The third is a critical hit.
Jesus Christ.
But he rolls poorly. 3. For only 11 for the damage for the crit. And
there go my hit die and some. Thank you.
Hey man, Lord of the Dragon Gate.
Lord of the Dragon Gate can't be.
It's bad.
Oh fuck.
Okay, let's see. It's the oh shit table, I'm afraid.
Oh god.
Oh no.
Oh, this could be really bad.
Yep.
Oh my goodness. Okay, can you roll me a d4?
Oh god. That is a 2.
Okay, so he slashes this great blade and it's across your throat. And blood begins to spray down. You have 2 rounds. You fight through the pain. At the end of 2 rounds, you will fall unconscious.
Varel just is stood there, his eyes wide open in surprise. Such a quick attack, and he is looking down as blood is pouring down his chest, and he tries to claw at his throat. Oh
This
shit.
Sick grin comes across his face. Fool. Iron Maw, this orc at the base of the steps, he looks up at the various targets approaching. He rushes towards you, Cynric, and is going to try and slash at you. Misses both times. He's got this this big sort of mace, more of a morning star, 2-handed. He runs up in the first one into the ground, just sparks. The second one comes up and you duck under, and he's right upon you. There's this awful stench that comes off him as he's right in your grill, and it's your turn.
I have something that may give us a little bit of time, but it's up to how cheeky you feel this is, and if this takes, a bonus action or whatever. But I know black speech, I know the tongue of orcs, and I know the command he has given so far, so I growl, "To me," and try confuse that dragon or bring it round to me, and I'm very good at handling animals if I need to make an animal handling check, but I'm going to aim, even if it doesn't come to my side, I want to, make it confused for a second.
Okay.
And I will be listening out for the attack command, whatever what form that comes from the Lord, because then I will aim to copy that again.
All right. So you make that shout. There is no effect. The dragon simply ignores you.
Right.
You maybe have heard stories about the dragon helm. Maybe not.
Oh.
But the myths say that it allows you to force drakes and their kind to obey your command.
Well, I mean, talking is a free action,
yes.
But I don't know if you wanted that to be a bonus or something, because I was trying to command.
I mean, shouting is fine. It's not like you made a roll or anything.
Sure. Do I know the details about the dragon crown? Because then that makes a very big difference about my intentions.
You could use your action to make a shadow lore check or a lore check.
So the dwarves wouldn't have told me of the treasures deep within, because
I don't think that they would know this is here.
Right. Okay. Fair enough. I mean, that's a lot of emphasis on one roll. Sure. Okay, that's not bad. That's 21
Okay.
for Shadow Law, by the way. Sorry.
So then the Dragon Helm of Dor Yomin. It is also called the Dragon Head of the North. It is a ancient helm. It has the image of Glaurung, the first dragon. And it's said that this helm is, well, firstly, will protect you from all harm, but secondly, that it allows you to control dragons. That's what the myths say in ancient days. But it seems now, looking at it and the way the dragon here, or the drake, responded, that there might be some truth to it.
So was that my action? If so, I'm done.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
One of these Dragon Gate guards rushes forward and is going to try and swing at your back, Faroth. But he baffles it. The halberd slashes ting, into the throne next to where you're standing. He's going to try and hit you with the butt end. You can just feel this like air whoosh next to your ear, but it doesn't connect. The Drake. It rises, uncoils basically, and leaps up the stairs towards you, Faroth, and it's going to try and eat you.
Come on, you fucker.
It's going to be 17 to hit.
I have an armor class of 18.
That one will hit, though. So it tries to snap its jaws around you, and just barely you see it coming, and you like leap to the side. You can, it's like crocodile jaw just next to you. But then the claw slashes out, and we'll do 6 points slashing damage.
And Faroth rolls with it, blood pouring from his throat. He whirls about and strikes back in revenge. I roll an 18 on the die. That's plus 9.
Oh, yeah.
For that is 11, 12, 13 points of slashing damage back at the Drake.
Excellent. Baragon, you awaken again. Water thrown in your face. He is standing opposite you. He is holding now this knife. This thin sort of knife. It's got an almost greenish tint to the metal. Do you know what happens if I stab you with this blade?
Argimalnath, you were once a captain of the royal guard in Numenor. You had free access to the palaces and gardens of that treasured isle, and you had Sauron himself as your prisoner, much far greater. You have the blood of Beren and Luthien in your veins. Beren and Luthien, who stood up to Melkor himself. And yet you have traded Numenor, you have traded that heritage for what? Are you proud? Are you happy with what you have exchanged? Are you happy with how you are now?
Sauron, Anatar, is a giver of gifts, and he has given me the gift that none other could, immortality.
Slavery. You are a slave. Where is your happiness? Where is your joy?
There is joy.
Eternal misery. That is what you have accepted.
Eternal misery shall be yours. I will find that helm, and I will throw it into the fires of Mount Doom, and it will melt and be nothing. I will find all of the relics of your people and see them crushed.
You will find nothing. Sauron will find it, your master. You are a slave. You are worse than the orcs. But you could have been so much more. Have you still got the strength to turn your back on Sauron? Are you really one of the blood of Numenor, or are you just a slave?
We shall see who is the slave. And he draws back the blade. into your skin and pulls it out. The damage is not the real issue here. You can feel a sort of throb and a pain come from that wound immediately. Your vision begins to blur. You will serve me, and you will see what it means to be a slave.
Do you still believe Sauron's lies? I will not serve you, I will serve him.
You can have inspiration, Caius.
Nice. Jeez.
Bored, you're climbing up this rope. You come to the top of where the dragon's snout is, and you can see now this chaos that I described in through the door of the eye. All this madness.
Yeah.
There's a dragon in that room. There is some man with a dragon helm. It's just insane.
On the way up, he's tailing the other two Bjornings, and he catches a scent of blood, the blood of a friend. He approaches into kind of through this, what I imagine is like a parapet / window or whatnot that I'm climbing through. Is there one of these enemies close to that window that I can reach in, grab, and just try to throw off down into the fray below?
Definitely.
Great. I'm not sure if there's someone on the initiative order that I can do that to. That would obviously be the preferred.
It's potentially possible that you could run up behind either the Dragon Gate guard or the or Cratch Ironmaw, who's fighting Cynric, and like drag them somewhere.
Okay, I think I'm probably a little closer to the guard, who's and I'm just gonna reach over and I'm just gonna try to pull the guard out the window and directly where I came from down onto the bridge. If that's like a strength check or athletics, that would be 18, 22, 20, 26 for athletics.
Yep. So he's like there looking at Faroth. He's got his like halberd raised about to strike, and you just like run up behind and grab.
It's almost like a big hand over his shoulder grabs into the armor and pulls out.
He goes flying, flung, and hits down into the chaos of the bridge. Okay, that's bored. He's standing next to Faroth now. There are mewling orcs about, but of them, the runtiest, the smallest, most pathetic little orc you've ever seen is like crawling, and he sees an opportunity here to kill a hero. He can see that Faroth is teetering on the edge, and he picks up this little shitty knife, and he's going to run up behind him, and he's going to try and make himself a hero. But does not do so. He comes close, and you hear him like, yes, they will say my name, yes, as he approaches, and you, Faroth, can like easily move out of the way of this little creature. And it is your turn.
I think easily is probably generous. I think that Faroth running up these stairs initially to attack the Lord of the Dragon Gate is now sort of stumbling back, and he is just the weight of him falling back is enough to probably turn Snaggar's attack aside. He is looking upon the Lord of the Dragon Gate with unparalleled fear. Yeah, he just got his throat cut and blood is pouring down his chest. Lloyd, just so I act wisely, you said I have 2 rounds. Did that count? Did the round that it happened count?
No. So it'll be this round and the next round that you have, and then on the round after that, you will fall unconscious.
Okay.
On your turn, you'll fall unconscious.
Man, we said we were going to go big or die trying, so...
It's particularly brutal crit. It could have been worse. Some of them are just you die, so like that could have...
Yeah, no, I feel lucky. So Faroth is clutching at his throat. He basically drops his hand to the hilt of his sword, and then double-handed he's going to just try and drive his blade into this fell creature before him. The first attack is going to be a modified 20.
Is this against Dragon Lord or the dragon?
So is the Drake now directly in front of me? It's in the way
behind you.
Shit. I'm going to trust that my Dunedain brothers will help me against that Drake. I'm going to focus on to modify 20 against the Dragon Gate.
That's exactly what you need.
Okay, and 21, so both hit. Perfect. That is 17 points of slashing damage for the first one.
Nice.
And that is 16 slashing for the second attack, as Farrell is basically trying to hold his ground against this thing, whilst he is very aware that there's this snapping fell beast behind him also.
All right. He looks worse for wear. You've smashed him quite badly. The wounds are thick, even through his armor. And he rumbles a command in the black speech. Flame. Gosh. And he is going to try and hit it. Nope. Nope. Oh, yeah. Okay. $13 slashing damage from the scimitar.
And once again, Varroth uses that opportunity. The blade basically goes through his side, but that means he's closer to his foe, and he makes another attack. Again, just modify 20 on the attack. My goodness.
Very nice.
For less 15 points of slashing damage.
Okay. He says to you, "See you Tulielue Metana, Sitanathanova. We have come now to the end, and the darkness will fall." He rumbles that to you as you slash at him. He is not in good shape. But he knows that you will fall too. He has cut you too deeply, and there's a sick satisfaction on his face, knowing that Iron Maw on you, Cineric, is going to unleash a flurry of attacks and try and bring you down. Misses the first, the second is a critical hit.
Oh, Jesus.
It's going to be 18 bludgeoning damage. And where's the table? Okay. Oh my goodness. Oh, it's hard to explain. Okay. So he hits you with this brutal sort of mace, Morning Star, two-handed thing, and he like smashes it around and it hits you in like the small of your back. This like crunch, and you like are flung forwards, and there's like a sort of crack in your back, painful. You have a weak point. A character can crit you on a 19 or a 20.
Anybody. Okay, well, if I survive this fight, then my career is probably going to be over. That's atrocious in this game.
It's not good. It's your turn.
I shout out to the newly arrived board as we're fighting on these stone steps of the plinth of the throne or whatever. The helmet! Take the helmet! And then I will, because I don't really want to leave this guy, I will turn to fight the man who has just shattered something crucial within me. 21 to hit.
Yes, sir.
19 to hit.
Yep.
12 damage. 15 damage. as the axe sings, perhaps its last. Rohan rises and Rohan falls.
He looks barely alive. The two axe slashes are deep. And he looks kind of stupidly, but he still stands. The gate guard is gone. The ash drake rears up behind you, Faroth. Dex save, please.
So I've had like a crazy idea. Would Faroth be able to tell that the drake's going to breathe fire on him?
You speak black speech, and he said the word fire. I think you could put it together.
Is it insane for Faroth to turn around, take the fire, and use that to cauterize his throat wound?
Yes.
I mean, you
Yes,
could heat your blade and then press it against your neck, maybe.
The fire wouldn't cauterize it. You'd need to like press something to it.
Yeah, it's not. It's too much, isn't it? Like I just thought. I'm
You
desperate
asked
here.
if it was insane. I mean, whether it works or not, the answer is yes.
That's absolutely true. Yeah, I'm not going to. I'm going to attempt to heave myself out of the way instead. 16 on the die. Let me just get my dex. Do apologize. I believe it's plus. 21.
Good. So you'll take half.
I'm guessing I still take half. Yeah.
Bad roll. 3. 6,
Good for me.
Only 10.
Okay.
You'll take 5.
Oh, Christ.
Useless.
Yeah, well, it's not great either.
Okay. Baragon, you've been stabbed by this blade, and you can feel it coursing through you now. This like foul sorcery, and he steps towards you. You can like smell his like fetid breath, like burnt flesh.
In making me a wraith, you are making a mistake, because you are making a rival that will eclipse you. You were never great enough, never important enough in Sauron's plans to be offered one of the rings of power, one of the rings of men. But when Sauron spoke to me in the ruins of Amon-Sul, he offered me one of the rings. He promised to replace one of the Nazgul with me. You will become my slave. But I still have free will, and I do not want to become a slave. Find some free will in yourself, or become and kill me, or become my slave.
Oh, just the best. You can have more inspiration. There's like a moment of indecision on his face. No. I am a great servant of the Lord of Gifts. I am of old Numenor. You are nothing.
I have seen. Are you one of the 9?
No, but I am great of his mortal servants. I am. There's this like brief moment of indecision, then his like face hardens. And he turns away from you and goes to leave the room.
Shit.
Just so good.
No good.
Bored.
Oh my gosh, my turn already. So Bored will bark an order to the Bjornings near him. Open the gate. Which one? All of them, like or something like that. You know, as soon as possible, open them all. Let the dwarves pour in, and he's heading straight towards the dragon helmet. The helmet, get the helmet! Shouted Cynric, and he looks over. Gurchak is wearing the helmet, correct?
Yeah.
He sees Gurchak. He sees Faroth struggling clinging to life, blood soaking almost all of him, and he quickens his pace and runs towards Gurchak. I think I'm probably so far away, though, that I might have to take 2 moves for my whole turn, but it's up to you.
It's closer than you think. It's all within walking distance.
Okay, cool. So then he rolls his attacks, which I pre-rolled. The first one with the gauntlet, he goes to strike Gurchak and he misses. You said we got a 12,
20,
so
yeah.
yeah. The second one, however, is exactly a 20, though modified, and that's with
Okay.
the Hatchet of Amonlock. He brings down his hand axe for a total of 9 points of damage.
Oh my goodness.
So Faroth, you see Board just join the fray. It doesn't give you a side glance, so he doesn't really know how bad it is yet.
You come and you strike onto the helmet. There's no dent, but you can see that he recoils from the strike. It remains on his head, but he is bleeding from many wounds, and you can see that he's literally moving around as if he's about to fall unconscious, barely hanging on, but hanging on nonetheless. The little Snaga sees you, Board, and sees that you're distracted. It's going to try and stab you in the back. For 14, probably not good.
Was that 14 to hit?
Yeah.
Okay, so he needs 17 is what he needs.
Okay. Yeah, so you feel this ineffective little knife try and cut through the clothes you're wearing, and it's just nothing. Faroth.
Faroth is heartened seeing Board beside him, even though he feels death's icy grip upon his throat. And he gives one last, I say, cry, gurgle, as he attempts to finish this fiend. 21 for the first hit, and 23 for the second. So I've got him twice.
Okay, go for it.
Again, 17 points of slashing for the first one. And 12 points of slashing for the second.
How does he die?
Oh my god, thank God.
Nice.
So one last burst of strength from Faroth. He's basically on his knees at this point, still clasping onto his throat, and he basically one-handed drives the Flame of the North up through this fell being's diaphragm. And I like to think it does that lurch thing where it tries to draw Faroth in closer and closer with the blade in him, and then Faroth just takes the blade and bam, takes his head off, and the helmet flies backwards towards the Dunedain, I'll say.
It does. And the second that the helmet leaves the head as it rolls in the air, and kong, kong, the Drake just looks around as if it's woken up. It looks around the room. It looks terrified now, surrounded, and it begins to just snarl like an animal now, less disciplined, less organized. I'm going to make morale rolls for these boys. The Snaga bottles it immediately. He sees that Gurchak has died. Gurchak is one of the most powerful orcs that he has ever seen, and he just runs and tries to vanish into one of the darker areas of this room. Cratch Ironmaw turns or hears the clang, sees the dragon go nuts, and he realizes what's happened. You can see this pale look come over his face, although he still stands opposite you, Cynric, just barely. And it's his turn. He's going to try and mess you up. Nope. 16 is no good for you either.
No.
Okay. So the first one onto the Rohirric shield. The second one is dodged, and it's your turn.
He gets his teeth through the pain of some sort of shattered mess that is his back or his side now, filled by fury. He will end this creature. That's 25 to hit, and that one is 26 to hit. $11 and full damage for 16.
Okay, that's going to do it.
So yes, he heaves the axe after parrying these blows, these wild blows, and the axe buries and bites deep, tasting orc flesh once again. Now, there is no one else. There is no one else around him, is it? We've outed them. He, with the dragon now a loose beast, he knows just how dangerous those can be. He will stalk to the head and helmet. He will pull the head from the helmet, and he will gain himself a new crown. He places it on his head. He points the axe at the dragon and goes, "To me."
Its eyes kind of glaze. It like looks at you, and like an animal, like a dog that's been trained, it comes to your side. That's basically everyone in the combat.
I would mop people up with the flame of the dragon.
Yes, so with the dragon on your side, and the dwarves and Bjornings pouring in, you're able to like clear this room. Many of the orcs are fleeing, firstly because Gurchak is dead, and secondly because this dragon now seemingly has switched sides, and flame clears the path, those who don't flee quickly enough. However, in the chaos of it all, I guess you would see Faroth fall to his knees.
I think like he is like I imagine in this crazy combat and the dragon and things, like he didn't quite see what had happened to Faroth. They're fighting opponents separately, and then like he is burning at these retreating orcs, not surrendering, and then like he hears the chunk as like the body of Faroth falls over the throne.
You just hear like a and like you just see him basically roll down those stairs of the throne and hit the ground. His eyes close and the flame in the north falls from his grasp.
He would oh sorry, you go.
No, you go.
Like Cineric's maybe like Cineric almost shakes himself. Maybe his eyes had gone a little darker. Not sure what the helmet does, what gifts it imbues, but he is brought from that reverie of fire and runs to your side. Frantic.
Bord does the same, but not after looking longly at or looking for a long time at Cineric and in the flames of the drake, whether it is orc or man being toasted by them, he sees the flames of the great eye. Just eyes playing tricks on him, and he runs obviously to Faroth's side.
The Bjornings and the dwarves work to open the gates, and there's this like heaving, and you can hear them sort of hoo as they push and open the first, and then the second, and then the remaining gates slowly but surely opening up what is available. The orcs have fled for now, and there's a moment of peace here, and you can see that Faroth has like fallen face first at the foot of that throne. The long bladed scimitar of this orc gleams, obviously not an orcish blade, and one of incredible quality next to him, although Faroth seems unresponsive.
I do not have the skills to heal this. And he looks to you, Cineric.
I look up at it and eyes wide, still with the image of Glaurung,
yeah.
Rung, probably is the one like equal to your head, the image of the great worm, and I just shout, get the elves, and then I'm going to try and help stabilize him as best I can with whatever I can. That's a 17.
Okay, I'll say that stabilizes him, and he will come conscious in a amount of time, with the help of the elves, certainly. in the chaos, your troops begin to file in and make a sort of forward base in the head of this dragon gate. There's chaos everywhere, although it seems like the orcs are retreating to some sort of secondary rally point. You can see them like fleeing beyond the dragon gate in the tunnels, moving very, very quickly away. And that's where we're going to leave it today. You've taken the dragon's head. Yep. You've taken the dragon gate. You have made a foothold here in Gundabad, and we'll push on deeper next time and find out what the fate of Beauregond is. Thank you for watching, all of you lovely people, and we'll see you next time.